Hi, and welcome to a special report from EU TV News. The UK's exit from the European Union, coupled with the travel restrictions in place because of the COVID-19 pandemic, have affected EU students in ways which were predictable, but which campaigners say have not been adequately dealt with. I spoke to Lara Parizotto, who is co-chair of the Young Europeans Network at the 3 Million, a campaigning organisation for EU citizens in the UK, to find out more. Can you tell us a bit about the problem that some EU students at UK universities are facing?
Yes, so it's a big, complicated technical problem, but basically it's a combination of strict deadlines and strict policies, all brought to the fore by the pandemic. All EU nationals that were living in the UK by the 31st of December 2020 can apply for the EU settlement scheme, which is great, but it's very important that students and EU nationals in general were able to be in the UK by the 31st of December 2020 to apply for pre-settled or settled status. So when we think about students, there are two groups that will be affected by EU settlement scheme and the pandemic complications that have been created. So there are the EU students that started university in the last term, September, October, but started university online, virtually, remotely from their EU country. They have not started studying physically in the UK. And the government just last week confirmed that unless students were physically present in the UK, they're not entitled to apply for the EU settlement scheme. So that's very complicated because we're talking about EU students who are studying in a UK university, but doing so remotely and can't apply for this scheme. At the moment, they will be considered as home fee students, will be entitled to tuition fee support, but from the future onwards, they'll possibly have to apply for a new immigration visa, will be considered as international students and international fee-paying students. Then secondly, there are the EU students who started university 1-2 years ago, had already applied for pre-settled status, but then since the pandemic started have returned to their EU countries as advised by universities and the UK or their own countries about staying at home, studying online. And the thing with that is often forgotten is that with pre-settled status, it's a limited leave to remain visa, if you would consider it under other terms. That means that you have 5 years to reside in the UK, after which that expires. In most cases, it's not a problem because you can convert your pre-settled status to settled status, which is indefinite leave to remain. However, the thing that is often forgotten is that if you spend more than 6 months outside of the UK with pre-settled status, you lose your continuous residence period and therefore cannot convert your pre-settled to settled status. The Young Europeans Network and the 3 Million have done a lot of campaign on this and have brought this issue to the attention of ministers and have been saying, look, there are lots of students who left the UK in March and haven't yet come back because they are keeping themselves, their families, their colleagues safe by staying at home. Therefore, there should be an exception to that 6 months rule. Fortunately, that was agreed, and now students and some EU nationals can stay outside of the UK for up to 12 months without losing their continuous residence. That is great. However, we can see that the pandemic is not coming to an end yet, and March is approaching already. So there is the fear that a lot of EU students will not come back to the UK and will stay outside of the UK for more than 12 months. Although those students that had already applied for pre-settled status will still be able to live off those 5 years in the UK, the problem really is that they won't then be able to convert pre-settled to settled and have that indefinite leave in the UK.
Do you know how many students are affected by these two issues?
Well, it's really almost impossible to know exactly. I would say that I myself, I've recently graduated. In my head, I can think of at least 3 students that I know that are being affected by this. And I would say that if everyone can think of their EU friends from university, they will at least be able to find one person, I'm sure, that will be affected either by starting university without having ever come to the UK or having started in the past and not coming back since the pandemic started. So we can guess that it will be a pretty big number of students who will soon realize that they may have lost their entitlement to continue that access to university, education, healthcare, work in the UK for the longest duration.
What more could the UK government do to remedy this problem?
So there were two things that mainly from the start we've been saying that the government should have done more to explain the regulations to all EU nationals, but for students as well. Mainly presenting all the options to students so that they know how they will be affected. One thing that was a problem and has been a problem is just about informing students. And secondly, it's a question about flexibility. With the pandemic, we understand that no one, not the government, had seen this coming, and it's been a learning curve for everyone. But we are making that case that there needs to be more flexibility because the deadline has been so strict. And even though that exception of enlarging the 6 months to 12 months has been made, and it's been a positive step, we have to understand that the pandemic is still going on, and students are still reluctant to come to the UK if they're going to have to stay in a room without being able to see friends, family, or actually access lectures physically. So we want that flexibility to be extended. And I'm focusing on EU students, but we're talking about anyone who's probably gone back to their EU country and working remotely, for example. So that needs to be taken into consideration more carefully, that students are trying to keep themselves, their colleagues safe, and they shouldn't be penalised from not returning to the UK within those 12 months. And for the EU students who didn't even come to the UK from last September, October, it would be great if they could use proof of their study in a UK institution as eligibility for the EU settlement scheme. Because if it was outside of the pandemic, none of this would be happening. They would be physically in the UK. They would be attending their lectures. So it's just a question of understanding that under normal circumstances, this wouldn't have been such a problem. So we have to make those exceptions.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. I also spoke to Mantas, a first-year Edinburgh student from Lithuania, about the situation he potentially faced at the end of the transition period last year and what he did to avoid it.
Yeah, so I'm Mantas. I'm studying biochemistry, first year undergraduate student right now, and I'm from Lithuania, Vilnius.
You haven't been studying in Edinburgh, as a lot of us haven't, because of the pandemic, but you did come to the UK briefly just before Christmas. Can you explain why that was?
Yes, so I did that just to qualify for the pre-settlement status, because if I wouldn't get the pre-settlement status, the fees would pretty much be much higher than they are right now. I would need to pay the NHS surcharge fee, and I would also need to apply for the visa, which has its own restrictions by itself. So yeah, that was kind of a strategic thing, I guess, to do.
Would you have been able to pay the fees for the NHS and the visa if you hadn't been able to come to the UK?
I probably wouldn't have, because, you know, all of the pandemic, and one of my parents for quite a few months in the previously last year lost his job. So it was kind of tough financially.
So you came to the UK, how long did you come for?
Literally one night.
And did you have to provide any evidence to get your status?
So I applied, I applied for the UK government website, and they asked for just evidence for coming to the UK. So like passport evidence and then the flight ticket, and that's it.
So you just came for one night to the UK, and that was enough so that you don't have to pay the NHS fee or the visa?
Yes. Exactly.
Did the university give you any advice about it?
Yes, of course. They were super helpful to decide on what to do.
And are you aware of others who are in the same situation with Brexit and studying in the UK?
Yes, so I have a couple of my high school classmates who were in the same situation as me, and one of them also decided to go to Britain, and another one just accepted the fate, I guess.
And how do you feel about the whole situation and what happened and what you had to do?
I mean, quite frankly, I think it's just stupid, because first of all, it's kind of like, it's not our fault that we didn't get to go to the university. We were fully planning to go to university. And second of all, it's just that traveling during a pandemic, even though traveling pretty much just for like a single day, for a single night, it's not much, but it still puts you in contact with a lot of people and a lot of potential spread of the infection, which is absolutely not ideal.
Thank you so much, Mantas, for speaking to EUTV.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If you have been affected by what we've spoken about in this video, we'd love to hear from you. Please get in touch at eutv.news@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.